for the Ministerial meeting on Palestine and Jerusalem. During the visit to Saudi Arabia, the Prime Minister will meet His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia. Discussion will focus on consolidating the Pakistan-Saudi Arabia bilateral relationships, as well as exchange of views on areas of regional and international developments of mutual interest. The visit marks Pakistan's long-standing partnership with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, anchored in decades of mutual trust, cooperation and brotherhood. Although taking place against the backdrop of heightened tensions in the Gulf, the visit will carry immense significance beyond the immediate crisis and short-term considerations. It will further strengthen bilateral relations, deepen strategic cooperation, enhance coordination on regional and international issues of mutual interest, and also reinforce multilateral cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan remained engaged alongside with brotherly countries in our sincere efforts to resolve the crisis in the Gulf and the Middle East, especially with respect to the standoff in the Strait of Hormuz. As a littoral state overlooking Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf, Oman has, let us add that Oman has consistently played a very constructive role in promoting regional peace and stability. Pakistan acknowledges and deeply appreciates Oman's valuable contribution in its steadfast efforts to foster de-escalation and peaceful coexistence. Pakistan will continue to actively pursue diplomatic engagements and support all sincere efforts aimed at achieving comprehensive, just and lasting resolution to this conflict. And in the same vein, and in the context of our ongoing efforts, on the 30th July, the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister held an important telephone conversation with the Foreign Minister of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Prince Faisal bin Farhan. They exchanged views on regional developments, including the situation in the Red Sea, Bab al-Mandab, and as well as in Palestine. And on August 3rd, 2026, the Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister held a telephone conversation with the Foreign Minister of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Sayyid Abbasi. The two leaders discussed regional and international developments, including deteriorating situation in the occupied Palestinian territories in East Jerusalem. The DPM also invited the Foreign Minister of Iran to visit Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, this week the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister undertook an important visit to Jordan at the invitation of the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Jordan, Mr. Ayman Safadi. The DPM visited Jordan. Most of his activities were on the 5th of August to participate in the Ministerial meeting on Jerusalem. So this was the primary purpose. The meeting brought together Arab League member states and selected Islamic countries to coordinate a unified response to the deteriorating situation in the occupied Jerusalem. Pakistan's participation reaffirmed our steadfast support for the Palestinian people and its commitment to establishment of an independent, sovereign, contiguous state of Palestine as per pre-1967 borders with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital. On the sidelines of the meeting, the Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister held bilateral meetings with the Foreign Minister of Jordan, Turkey, Egypt, Algeria, Iraq and Somalia. The Foreign Ministers of our four countries, R4 as you know ladies and gentlemen is a grouping of four countries comprising Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt and Saudi Arabia. So these foreign ministers of these four countries met for the 5th time since the inception of this group. The meeting took place in Jordan on the 5th of August. The ministers reaffirmed their unwavering support for the inalienable right of the Palestinian people, including their right to self-determination and the establishment of an independent, sovereign Palestinian state. They stressed that a comprehensive and lasting resolution of Palestinian question remains essential for achieving durable peace and stability in the Middle East. The ministers also reviewed regional situation and underscored the importance of continued consultation, close coordination, and diplomacy to promote regional peace, security, stability, and de-escalation. Another important development, ladies and gentlemen, this week was the fourth round of Pakistan-US counterterrorism dialogue. This was convened in Washington, D.C. this week, and our Ambassador Nabil Munir, the Special Secretary of UN, led our delegation. The dialogue underscored shared interest of the US-Pakistan sides on counterterrorism partnership and our determination of the two countries to confront terrorism. Delegates exchanged views on the current threat environment, explored avenues of enhanced collaboration, and discussed steps to further strengthen border security and disrupt terrorist facilitation networks across the region. The United States and Pakistan reaffirmed that their joint resolve to confront terrorist organizations that endanger the safety of their citizens and the stability of the region, specifically including ISIS Khorasan, Al-Qaeda and Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and Balochistan Liberation Army. Ladies and gentlemen, this week Pakistan and Pakistan and Australia held two important dialogues. One was the official talks. This is kind of a bilateral political consultations at the senior officials level, and the second was the Joint Trade Committee meeting in Canberra. This was on the 4th of August. The two sides reviewed the full spectrum of bilateral relations and discussed ways to enhance cooperation in political, economic, trade, security, and regional domains. Both countries reaffirmed their commitment to further strengthening their bilateral partnerships. And finally, we all celebrated, commemorated Yom Istihsal, observed it marking the 7th anniversary of the Indian illegal and unilateral action of 5th August 2019 in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistan reaffirmed its unwavering support for the Kashmiri people's inalienable right to self-determination in accordance with the relevant UN Security Council resolutions. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, I conclude my opening remarks and open the floor for question answers. Ji Saleh Zahra sir.
Thanks, Nadia. So you have seen the reaction by the Indian MPA spokesperson on ongoing process of elections in Azad Kashmir. I need your reaction on this.
Yes, we have seen those statements. Pakistan categorically rejects the baseless and politically motivated remarks by the Indian Ministry of External Affairs regarding the ongoing Legislative Assembly elections in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. It is unsurprising that India has chosen to issue such remarks on the eve of the 7th anniversary of its illegal and unilateral actions of 5th August, through which it seeks to alter the internationally recognized disputed status of Jammu and Kashmir. These statements, those actions were a flagrant violation of the relevant Security Council resolutions, international law, and India's own international commitments. The elections to the 13th Legislative Assembly of Azad Jammu and Kashmir are being conducted in a peaceful, transparent, and orderly manner in accordance with the constitutional and legal framework of governing the AJK. They reflect democratic aspirations and political will of the people of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. India has neither the legal standing nor the moral authority to comment on democratic process in AJK, while it continues to deny the people of Indian illegally occupied Kashmir the fundamental political rights and democratic freedom. Let me add that no amount of misinformation or propaganda can alter the legal and historical reality that Jammu and Kashmir remains an internationally recognized disputed territory, and its final disposition is to be determined in accordance with the relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions, as well as the freely expressed will of the Kashmiri people through the UN-administered plebiscite. India's attempt to invoke misleading casualty figures cannot obscure its own well-documented record of serious and systematic human rights violations in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. These includes and are well documented, including extrajudicial killings, arbitrary detentions, enforced disappearances, effective punishment, and restriction of fundamental freedoms, and more significantly alter the demographic composition in the occupied territories in contravention to the international law. So such statements are clearly intended to deflect international attention from India's continued violation of international human rights and humanitarian law, as well as its persistent failure to fulfill international obligations. Pakistan would therefore reiterate its call on India to reverse the illegal actions, create an environment conducive to peaceful settlement of the issue of Jammu and Kashmir in accordance with the relevant UN Security Council resolutions. Ji, madam.
Pakistan has had any official contact or engagement with Bangladesh since yesterday's address that was there of the exiled Sheikh Hasina and his son. There were some comments made about Pakistan. Have we had any engagement with that, or are we still considering it an internal issue for Bangladesh?
Well, of course, our diplomatic engagement with Bangladesh continues. So they are not bound by one single event, or bound or constrained by one single event. So I'm sure the diplomatic engagement between the two sides through normal diplomatic channels in Dhaka and Bangladesh and Islamabad are continuing, and we are aware of the developments, particularly with reference to the event yesterday. We do not interfere in internal affairs of other countries, and as such, we do not have any comment to offer. The fact that this statement was made from India is a matter between those two countries, Bangladesh and India. Let me add that people of Bangladesh are fully capable to resolve their issues independently without external interference. We respect their sovereign choices and will continue to cooperate with them in the journey towards progress and prosperity. Ji, Anas.
Thank you so much, spokesperson. The Indian Ministerial spokesperson has usually rejected these comments made by the Foreign Minister, Pakistan Foreign Minister, on your Minister Sath yesterday by calling it political absurdity. Your comments on the statement issued by the Indian. Thank you.
Yes, we saw this statement issued this morning by the Indian MEA. We categorically reject the statement and its self-serving eulogy of India's illegal actions of 5th August 2019. The Indian leadership has been expressing this self-serving eulogy of India's actions. No unilateral action by India, nor any amount of rhetoric can alter the internationally recognized disputed status of Jammu and Kashmir, or deny the people of Jammu and Kashmir their inalienable right under international law and relevant UN Security Council resolution. The reality in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir is that a prolonged and heavy military presence, coupled with draconian laws, continue to facilitate demographic change aimed at altering the territory of the territory's Muslim majority character. At the same time, systemic efforts persist to suppress the voices of Kashmiri people and erase their distinct identity. The claims of so-called development cannot substitute for the inalienable right of the people of Jammu and Kashmir to determine their own future through a free and impartial plebiscite under the auspices of the United Nations in accordance with the UN Security Council resolutions. So we remain unwavering in our support for the just struggle of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and we call upon India to reverse its illegal and unilateral measures and its human rights violation and engage in the peaceful resolution of Jammu and Kashmir in accordance with the relevant UN Security Council resolutions. Thank you. Ji Mateen Sahab.
Thank you, Ambassador and Abbasi. This is back to Jammu and Kashmir. Yesterday, at a news briefing in United Nations headquarters, UN Deputy Spokesperson endorsed Pakistan's narrative and Pakistan's position on 5th August 2019 unilateral actions taken by Government of India and said
तर्जुमान दफ्तर ख़ारजा की जानिब से हफ्तावार प्रेस ब्रीफिंग दी जा रही थी। उनकी जानिब से बताया गया वज़ीर आज़म शहबाज शरीफ 8 अगस्त तक सऊदी अरब के दौरे पर होंगे, जहाँ पर इंतहाई अहम मामलात तय पाएंगे और साथ ही साथ बहुत ही अहम मुलाकातें होने जा रही हैं।